All good.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. And if anyone in the chat can just let us know if everything looks okay and sounds okay, and then we're going to start talking today with the Creator Network, our first episode, where we've got 4 incredibly handsome faces. So, just bear in mind, I know this much handsomeness on screen at any one point can be detrimental to your health, but you're going to have to go with it. So, like I say, if anybody could let us know in the chat if everything looks okay and sounds okay, that would be absolutely awesome. But I'm going to hand things over to the lovely people in here. We'll start with Imran. If you'd like to say who you are, what you do, and why the hell you're here.
Well, mainly because I was forced to attend. They put my image on the cover art, so I had to show up now. I'm Imran Sadiq, Web Squadron Web Agency. Been working with websites for about close to 20 years now. Been very full on with WordPress when it first came out, and I left my full-time job about 3 years ago to go full on with web agency work, and it's gone really, really well, and it's growing. And I got into content creation about 3 years ago roughly, and I love creating YouTube tutorials and helping people out, especially with problem solving. But yeah, I love giving back to the community, and that's kind of what a lot of us love about working with WordPress, because it does have a community spirit and feel to it. So yeah, I don't know, I think I've said quite a bit there, but if you don't know me already, you'll find me on YouTube talking absolute rubbish half the time. I'll pass over to Jeffrey now. Yeah. Oh god, yeah. Yes.
And the link's in the description, so you can still find him whether you want to or not. The link is in the description for you there.
Not.
Possibly not. Jeffrey, over to you, sir.
Yo, okay, cool. What's up? I'm Jeffrey at Lightbox, and I'm an obsessed web designer. That's it.
No. I said that's the shortest intro in history.
I love web design.
Really
that's it. I'm ready to geek out.
Oh, man.
Right, we'll hand over to Mark now then.
Hey, what's up? It's Mark. I run Wiki Design with my wife Barbara, and she's sitting right over here doing something. She's doing logos or something. I don't know. But yeah, so we've been running an agency full time for the last 10 years. I've been in this game since the 90s, so I'm like OG right here. I was doing this stuff before CSS existed. I like to brag about that, but I don't know if that's a brag. But I like to, just like Emron, I like to also create lots of YouTube videos. I used to be able to keep up with the YouTube videos. Now I'm starting to lag a little bit. I can't keep up with Emron for sure. I used to almost be up there with him, but not anymore. He passed us all by.
I don't think anyone can keep up with Imran. He's not human, I don't think. I think
I need to go. I've got to record. I've got to
go. Oh no, you're here now. You're staying here. You don't get out of this alive.
Yeah.
Well, just in case anybody doesn't know me, my name's Paul C from WP Tuts. Much the same as these guys here. I love creating YouTube videos, talking about WordPress, those kinds of things. And much like Mark, I was probably in this one of the OGs before CSS became a thing. But we will say no more about that. I know we look like a very young bunch of boy band heroes to you guys, but the truth is we have been around a little while. But anyway. Okay, so basically...
Wasn't it much nicer before CSS came along? It ruined everything, in my opinion.
It was much bloody easier. Anyway.
Yep.
So basically the concept behind all of this is really, really simple. It's our first episode. We're finding our feet. It's going to be like 4, let's say, seasoned YouTuber stroke web design people in a bar having a cup of tea, because no alcohol is served here. It's a teetotal bar. And we're just going to talk about topics. So if you've got anything you want to ask us about, be sure to put #Q for question in the chat so we can easily see exactly what you guys are asking. But we're just going to basically talk about things that interest us, things that have kind of happened to us over the last week or two, things that have kind of drawn attention to various different things in WordPress, in web design, in business, in creator land, whatever the case is. So anything you guys that have kind of like popped up over the last couple of weeks that really piqued your interest, whether that's in a positive way or a neutral way or a negative way, what kind of things have happened to you guys over the last couple of weeks that just really kind of piqued your interest?
I'm going to start by saying that a few questions in like the Elemental forum and on the Web Squadron forum, just some questions about Elemental forms, and it got me thinking. And then over the weekend, I cracked it, but I haven't shared the solution yet to anyone, because when I cracked this particular problem with Elemental forms, it enabled me to create 8 other varied solutions. And I can't wait to record and share a lot of them, hopefully next week. But one of the things that maybe a lot of people do sometimes ask me about is, how do you plan for videos? How do you know what topics to do? Often some of the videos I create or content is based on, I'm working on someone's website and there's a problem. I find a way to get around it and I want to share it. Or sometimes we solve a problem or we find a solution on a forum. And that's what kind of drives my my task list in what am I going to do videos about. But based on the questions I was able to solve last week, it's allowed me to generate what I really think is groundbreaking. In fact, it's the possibility of not using WooCommerce to sell products using just elemental forms. So you're either going to hate it when I release it in a week or two, or you're going to go, wow. But for me, I'm buzzing on. I love it whenever, when you're planning content or what you're going to put out there, you feel like you've hit the holy grail. The trouble is, though, when you only get 200 views on the video, you kick yourself because you go, does no one want this? I love it. Why is this not hit 1 million views yet? But yeah, so I'm on a high from the weekend in ideas.
There is something incredibly sort of satisfying when you do get one idea is great. When you kind of get a spate of sort of ideas, think they interconnect with each other or they sort of they're independent things, but you kind of get that real buzz about what you want to do and you can't wait to start recording. I mean, Jeff, Mark, do you kind of get the same thing? How do you come up with your ideas and do you still get passionate about creating content, or do you kind of feel like sometimes it's a bit of a grind?
I like to go with the passion. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I was
Mark.
gonna
It's
say,
all good.
same thing with Emron. I do, most of my videos are because of a client need. Like if there was something complicated, I basically I'll create a video because I actually don't want to forget it. So a lot of times these videos are for me. And so I figured, hey, it's going to help someone else out there. It might only be like 2 people, but sometimes it's 20,000, sometimes it's 2. So that's where I'm at. Yeah.
What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, no, I just I kind of go with the flow and I see where things are going, like where I'm going in my creative process. Like right now, I got a big focus on Figma. I've been doing a lot more design and incorporating Figma with my workflow. It's always been part of my workflow, but I enjoy showing it. And for example, this last week we had UI3 in Figma get launched in beta, which is a complete overhaul. So I've been spending the last week since I got that just really dive in. Like I spend a lot more time. I wish I could create 8 videos really quick. It's just, my energy levels and with just everything else I'm doing, maybe that's just more of an excuse. Maybe I just need to start creating more, but I just go with, I just see something that I enjoy doing and then I want to share it because there is that passion. When I'm starting to create videos because I do some keyword research and if I make a video on this topic, I feel forced. I feel forced. It doesn't feel as fun. Do you guys feel that way too?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sometimes. No. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to quickly mention, though, what Mark said. I often go back to watch a lot of videos I did because they are to remind me how to do something. And I cringe when I watch myself and go, God, you were awful in how you explained that. But also the last 3 weeks has been torturous for me because my son is on school holidays. So I've only done one video I've actually recorded in all that time. So I'm itching to get back. But it's very difficult when you got a little 9-year-old. He's not so little, but he keeps coming in and out the room. Like I've told him now, stay out of my room, right? If the house is on fire, go and get some water, but do not come in here.
That's funny, man, because I always go back to my old code. My old code is like, wait, how did I do this before? And I gotta go and find the old video. Like, where's that code snippet at? Let me copy and paste that in. Yeah.
I do that pretty often. I did the other day. I forgot how to do something. I had to go to my own website to get the code. I was like, oh yeah, that's how I did that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've all done the same thing. Like I say, the number of times. I mean, we kind of get ourselves sort of stuck into a technique or a tool or a plugin or something. You kind of get really hyper focused on it. You'll create content about that particular thing. And then for whatever reason, life, work, business, everything kind of takes you in another direction. and then 6 months later you come back and you think, I need to know how to do that. And like I say, just because you created the video there, it is super useful. You can go back and it's like, it triggers your memory quite quickly generally. But I think this is part of it. Like you said, Imran, and I think Jeffrey, you sort of alluded to it as well. You can do all the keyword research and using things like vidIQ for topics and all those kinds of things. But I do still think there's a lot to be said for just putting content out there, things that you're excited about and you're passionate about. I think that comes across a lot more than just basically just doing the same thing over and over again. And you can see it in lots of different places, not just the WordPress space and so on. It's like there's been a particular video format, for example, or a particular video topic, and every year that same video rolls out with the slightly amended version, which is fundamentally the same as the previous 7 or 8 years. And I think you can understand why people do it. But it is kind of a little bit soul destroying when that kind of becomes your driving factor behind what you're doing and not the passion that you have for, whether it's a design technique, whether it's a new sort of design trend or some new technique you've learned in, whatever tools you're using. So I think there's definitely mileage in why you go down the passion route.
It's got to be passion in it. Yeah. Sorry,
No,
I was going to say, it's got to be passion into it. I guess that's what happens when you get 4 cats on here. No, I was going. I lost my thought. Go ahead, Imran.
No, sorry. I thought every time you stop, I thought, all right, I'll jump in now. No, what I was going to say is there's so many content creators out there with WordPress and things, and the ones that I love to follow and subscribe and intermingle with are the ones that don't do what Paul's just said. So there are some that are very popular, and what happens is it's like an annual refresh of a video that was done 6 months ago or every year, like how to build an Elementor website, how to do a WooCommerce website. And all it is like it's not that different to what was done before. It's just a little bit updated. And what I love is all of you and some others as well, the videos that go out aren't just how to build it. It's like, how could you do this? How could you be more efficient? Here's a new tool. The shots.so tool. Paul always does an updated video, but every time I watch it, the minute when Paul first shared that to the world about a year ago, damn did I fall in love with that tool. I mean, the fact it's free. If anyone's not looked at shots.so and you're doing like thumbnails or cover arts or even just images for your website, I still can't. It blows my mind when I go, how is this free? But anyway, problem-solving videos that get you to think a little bit differently, even if it's not the right way or the way some people would do it, if it gives me another way to build and think, that's what I love. Rather than just, here you go, click here, click there, do this. They're a bit bog standard. They're not making me be better.
Well, that's the thing about web development. There's so many different ways to solve one problem. And as we learn, we keep finding more ways to solve them when we start figuring out better ways that work better for ourselves. And that's the reason why when you see, we could see 3 videos on the same topic, we're going to take something different away from each one of them. That's something I was taught early on, was just because somebody did it already doesn't mean you can't do it, because somebody else will learn something different from, the different sources.
But not just that. I think the way that we will present things, it can be the same thing, but you'll present it in a completely different way. And one person will watch it and get nothing out of it. They just don't understand, or it doesn't click. And then the next person watches someone else, or the same person watches someone else covering the same topic. It's like, now I get it, especially with more advanced topics. And I also think this worrying about tripping over other people doing the same topic is kind of a bit pointless. We're always we don't watch everybody's video in the WordPress space. So what excites me might excite Imran or Jeffrey. It might actually excite all 4 of us, and we all create videos on exactly the same topic. But we'll do it in our own way. We'll explain it in a different way. And I just don't think you have to worry about it. I think you just get on with it.
Yeah, there is something very telling when you watch a video and it's either monotone or feels very scripted, or I don't mind sponsored videos, but sometimes you can tell it's just being done, but there isn't that kind of like passion or that something about it that makes you go, they actually believe in what they're doing. So many people do comment on, like, they go, sometimes you're too animated, you're too excitable, you're too, like, your fingers are flying around everywhere. And I'm just like, because I love what I'm doing and presenting. And if I didn't like it, I wouldn't present it. Without going into detail. Yeah, sorry, go on, Mark.
I was going to say, that kind of reminds me of something that I saw recently. I've been following more like After Effects videos recently because I'm thinking about maybe touching a little bit of that content. So I'm wondering, do you guys think that, like, I watched this one guy and he added like a lot of humor into like his tutorial, but I felt like it was almost like too much where it was kind of taken away from the tutorial. So do you guys find that where it's like maybe adding humor, is a good or bad thing if it's too much? It's hard to find that balance, I would say.
I try not to overdo it. If you watch my very first load of videos, I think I really overdid it. I was probably, when I'm not at work, anyone who knows me at work, whenever they used to see me outside of work, they were like, "You're a completely different person. You're having a laugh. You're joking around. You're partying around. You're doing whatever you want." And I go, "Yeah, because that's what I am." And I brought that into my really early videos, and I realized quite early on, you're not at a party. You're trying to engage with people, and we don't know what the audience are like. We don't know if they're serious people, happy people, sad people. We don't know. So I will be myself, but I won't go all crazy mode. Like, I won't go, I won't go, throw my Pepsi Max in the air or whatever. Some people add like a bunch of
memes popping up. Yeah, I've seen that before where somebody adds like a bunch of memes from like movies and videos, but I was like, I don't know what movie that's from, so I don't know what the hell that is. Like, I've seen that before. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark.
Sorry, I was going to say. Yeah. I think.
No, go on, Paul. Yeah.
Mark has kind of basically said what I was going to say, which is, I think you have to be authentic. I think if you try to be, when you're kind of new to YouTube, not saying any of us are, but when you're kind of new to YouTube, and like Imran sort of said, you look at your peers, the people that you aspire to sort of be like. I mean, for example, like Peter McKinnon and stuff like that, totally different niche. And you kind of look and think, oh, maybe I should be like that. But the fact is, that's his personality. And it's very easy to see when you try to adopt other people's personalities or other people's traits and bring that in. I think if you're naturally the kind of person that humor is part of what you do and that's the kind of way you deliver things, I think that comes across in being natural. I think if you try to bring humor in where it doesn't necessarily make sense or kind of isn't you, I think it can kind of come across as being like you're trying to be something different to what you actually are and maybe lose that authenticity of the way that you deliver and the personality that you are. And people have to kind of like your personality. Not everyone likes Imran. Not everyone likes me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but do you worry about that? Because for every one person that doesn't like it, there's going to be 10 people that do. So you kind of focus on the 10, forget the one. That's the way I would kind of look at it. So I would say stick with what let your personality. I think someone said before, it's like whatever your personality is, make your personality on camera 120% of you. So in other words, if you are a humorous person, make it a little bit more. If you are kind of like a little bit animated, like Imran said, be more animated. I've had people say to me, keep your bloody hands still. It's like, no, that I talk with my hands. That's part of what I do. If I sat there like that, it would just look weird. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, well, that's me.
That's why I don't even go on camera much. Well, first of all, I don't like to shave very much. And then second, I was like, I don't want to deal with the hands and all that. Yeah, I know it's a whole other added level of like complexity. But like I think a good example is there's a channel called Film Riot. It's a really big channel where he creates So he's kind of like that where he will do, I don't know, like a 10-minute video, and at the core of it, it's supposed to kind of be like an After Effects tutorial, but it's like maybe 2 minutes of tutorial, like 8 minutes of fluff and humor. So I don't know. It's hard to say because with tutorials, it's like if you're spending more time watching him jumping around doing weird stuff, it's like that's entertainment with a little tutorial. So it's almost like, do you think creators almost have to create like 2 versions of a video? That's double the work. It's hard to find that balance.
Yeah, I think it's you've got 2 different kinds of things there. You've got some people, like you say, if we take, like you say, like Film Riot, which is a channel that I've watched plenty of times in the past for different things, and like Peter McKinnon and stuff like that. When he was doing his tutorials, they were literally 5 minutes of tutorials and 10 minutes of other stuff, entertainment. Yeah. But that's what their channels are known for. That's kind of what they are. They're like an entertainment stroke education or an edutainment channel. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think if that works, that's absolutely brilliant. And it's worked well for people like that. They've got millions of subscribers. But I do think that's something I find it very difficult. I've looked at how do I make a story-driven tutorial, and that's friggin' hard. They say story is everything. It's like, well, how do you do that in every video? Some people are incredible at it. Me, I just suck at it. But again, it's all these things you learn. It's like, but I think if I started doing that now, it would kind of be like, why are you doing that? It's not kind of like you.
Switch it up,
Yeah.
Like what's weird about the film example is like his tutorials, he goes so fast, and I'm like, okay, slow down. Like I know After Effects pretty good, but like you are doing it like as if I live in this program. Like I use it, but he goes a little fast, I would say.
Yeah, there's a lot of it is very sort of, you are expected to have a pretty solid understanding of what he's talking about. It's a case of like, After Effects. This is me showing you how you would do this particular effect, but you need to know After Effects. And I think we probably all do that anyway, in what we do. We'll assume a certain amount of prior knowledge depending upon the level of the tutorial. Like if I do a masterclass, for example, I'm not going to show people, okay, this is what you click on to do this, and this is what you click on to do that, because the whole point is it's a masterclass. You're already at a certain level. I'm going to show you a technique that enhances your already your existing skill base. And I think that's probably where film writers kind of setting themselves like, After Effects. If you wanted to create this effect, this is the process you'd go through. But I'm not going to go through the nitty gritty of every single thing you need. But like you say, striking that balance then between the speed of delivery and the style of delivery doesn't always work with everybody.
I mean, when you've been doing videos for so long, like a lot of us have, you get into a way of recording and presenting and the way you do things. So when you then watch someone else's style and you try to adopt it, it never feels right. It feels like it doesn't fit the way you would do it. So Jeffrey will record videos. You'll do it a certain way. Paul, you do it a certain way. The one area, though, I really wish I could adopt what other people do, but for the sake of time, and I know it sounds like a sad excuse, but literally for the sake of time, is a lot of effects or After Effects I could do to videos. And I try to mix and match it a little bit, but sometimes, and we've spoken about this before, I wish there was a really good, reliable editor out there that I know I could trust to edit my videos, but I feel like I'm so particular about the way I want things to be done. But that's one area I wish I could improve on. But I always find that I know how I like to present and record videos. I know how much intro I'm going to do or how much detail I'm going to spend on clicking or this is the code to use, whatever. So, you know what works for you. And to be honest, when you know that you want to record a video, you just want to get it done. Some people out there might not like to hear it, but sometimes I want to get it done so I can get it edited and then move on to other stuff. We don't, believe it or not, just sit here for 24 hours a day going, I'll just, take my time. We've got, there's messages and things coming in that we've got to react to.
But the crazy thing is, and I'm sure you've all found the same thing, sometimes you will agonize over a video and you'll polish it to the nth degree and you release it and it's like, it got decent engagement and views and things, and then you'll go, shit, I really need to do a video on this quickly, and you'll put it together, you'll edit it, and you just chuck it out there, and it's like, boom, that one takes off. And it's kind of crazy. It's like there's no correlation between the quality of the video, other than putting out there with crap audio or something. But because I spend a lot of time, like on my longer videos, I spend a lot of time, and I've kind of got the background of show don't tell. So it's like a lot of time I'll talk about something as I'm doing it, but then I'll actually want to enforce that by using overlays or using animations or sort of different ways of showing it. And they'll take bloody ages to do. And sometimes you get like, oh, that was a really good way of describing it. But most of the time, people don't care. And it's like, where do you strike that balance? Like you say, sometimes you've got to think, I just got to get this out and it'll be what it'll be. And other times you want to sort of do as much as you possibly can.
I kind of think that
yeah.
Good. I kind of look at creating videos like web design. Like you develop the skills in it, and it takes time. It takes years to really craft the skills. And the more you do it, the better you get, the quicker you get. For example, I got my buddy Ronnie, and he has a Design with Canva channel, and his channel blew up right away. But before getting into that, him and his partner were video editors. They were video film creators. They had a very strong background in video creation. So, the videos that they make are just, they're at a level that I wish I could make my videos, as far as like the skill that goes into it. And, kind of going back to that, finding your personality or whatever, the comical stuff, you got to be yourself. People sense anybody that's being ingenuine. But part of my journey on learning how to become a better content creator is studying others. I want to study because it's just like web design. I'm trying to study the better designers, the designers who are creating things that I want to create so I could build my skills. And Paul, kind of going back to what you said, those quick videos that you just turn out that actually do really good, I kind of think that those might also come from all the work putting into those, those videos where you just take all that time to, like really dial in, that when we do that, things just improve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I was just going to say, it is gut-wrenching, though, when you think you've done a video or content and you think this is brilliant and you put it out there and it gets views, but it's a slow like climber, and you sit there going, why is this not exploding, kind of thing. And then you do a quick little video and the views just shoot up, and you're right, there is no correlation. You don't, half the time you don't know what people are going to like or not like. But yeah, just make sure you're putting out stuff which is true to what you're trying to say.
Definitely what I found out was like I spent a lot of time doing like my spline 3D videos, like integrating it, with code. I was doing like pretty complicated stuff. Those aren't doing very well because the audience on my channel are mainly for Element or Crockle Block, so they don't give a crap about my 3D videos. So I definitely have learned when you run a channel, if you're doing all different types of content, it's not going to get seen by your normal viewers. It's going to get seen by search months later. So it will take off maybe. Like some of my videos don't take off for 6 months to a year, and then it will finally like get a huge spike. Yeah.
Generally because they're more search-based content.
Yep. That's all I focus on, really. That's all I really care about. Yeah.
Go on, Jeff.
So check this out. I see somebody saying, am I really watching a video about making videos? So I thought, well, let's mix it up and talk about some Elementor stuff. Because, Paul, you got things a bit heated this day.
Oh, boy.
The other day. Yeah, man. Let's open up that can.
Hang on, let me get my can opener.
Is this about the AI adverts?
It's about all the adverts.
All of them.
All the adverts.
I mean, I get it. I get why. I get the adverts. I get it. It's the marketing. I get it. It's just, I wish there was a way I could just turn them off, because
you can. It's called bricks.
When I know, well, yes, it's because like it. I want the editing side to be clean. It's why we have like the black admin bar at the top now and everything. You want everything to be clean when you're looking at it. You don't want distractions, and because a lot of the adverts, they're not like grayscale because they're colourful. You can't miss them, right? They're right there. And I'm not against them, but it'd be nice if we could switch them off.
I didn't know until the other day that they were adding that crap into the block editors too. So I didn't even know it was there because I don't go on the block editor very much. But yeah,
it's everywhere.
Why is it there? I was like, why is it over here? What? Yeah.
Yeah. To actually expand upon that, we'll start with the Elementor side of things. Mark, could you pop your volume up a little bit if you wouldn't mind? We'll start with the Elementor side of things because that is kind of fresh from my video yesterday, and I did put that out for a specific reason yesterday, which was Matt did a live stream. I think it was last week, which I watched with Miriam and Ryan. And Ryan is basically fed up of those sort of AI things and you can't turn them off, and there's a conversation there, and it kind of piqued my interest. And it's like, so the other day I went back, I thought, okay, let's go back into Elementor and see actually how bad is this, and is it really as intrusive as you kind of think. So it's like, okay, booted it up, and basically the experience you saw in the video yesterday, if you've watched it, was exactly the experience that I got, which is as soon as you go past the enabling it, and this is Elementor Pro, not the free version now. As soon as you enabled it, you're already use the AI, and then it's like as soon as you add an image, and it's like, oh, you want to optimize your images, and as Mark said, if you go into the block editor, the AI is already in there. Even if you don't enable the AI, it's still all over the place, which is kind of annoying. So it kind of made me want to go back and address this, and not so much like, as I said in the video, I think the video was very balanced yesterday. It was a case of, I went through and showed exactly what was happening, and at the end of it, gave my opinion on how easy it is to resolve that, which is just basically a switch or switches to enable or disable those features. I can't see there's any difficulty in that, even if you just hide those icons by CSS. And as you can see, there's already a lot of people that are really annoyed by the same kind of thing. And obviously, certain Elementor employees have got involved and saying like, oh, you obviously haven't seen the updates in a while, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of like, no, it doesn't matter because this is the same experience that we got 6 months ago. And it's like you say like, oh, but you want to see our updates. But you promised lots of things, and you promised lots of things over the years that don't materialize or take ages to materialize. So you can understand why people get a little bit frustrated and fed up with promises that never actually come to fruition, and how it actually affects agencies, web designers, people that offload to clients, and the hassle and the potential problems which they can't build a client for because they chose Elementor. And if they go in and start the sort of client starts clicking on buttons and signing up for AI and signing up for image optimization on top of other plugins today, it causes problems. So I think bringing light to this and letting people sort of be aware, and hopefully maybe even push Elementor to think, okay, there's a lot of people that are peed off with this. Maybe we need to look at it a bit more seriously. I think.
But yeah, what I took away from that interview was, I remember when she said they take swings, so they like to be aggressive and try new things quick. So that's just, I guess, part of their style. Not every software will do that. So that comes with a lot of pros and cons, of course.
Yeah.
So
mostly cons.
What I want to say.
Yeah.
Sorry. What I quickly want to say is that obviously they said there will be a way for them to eventually switch those off, which will be good. But my gripe with it is that I did have a conversation with a client about 5 or 6 weeks ago, where when I did their website, I assured them that all of the images were optimized, and they were. And when I then handed over the website to them, because they were going to maintain it, they then came back with an accusation that you did not optimize, because I've got these messages popping up saying, do you want to optimize? And I said, no, that's just an advert. So
that's a problem, because you can upload you could upload a really compressed WebP and it will still be there. And
the message is there. So from a trust point of view, that was my gripe with it. It was like, they're questioning what I've done for them now because they think I haven't. Otherwise, why is this message appearing? So, but I hope pretty soon, sooner than later, we will get the feature where we can switch it off. Probably be Elementor version 4. I'm still wondering, when are we going to get that? Are we going to... Because at the minute we're on version 23, I think.
Yeah.
So at what point is Elementor 4 coming out?
I've heard that from so many people inside, the community. I mean, your story is similar to many others that have been echoing this for quite some time. My thing is that they knew. They knew when they launched Fiverr, the Fiverr ad. Remember the uproar?
Oh, boy. Yeah.
The community does not like ads. People do not want ads in their stuff. And I guess that for me is like, the part that upsets me about it is like they knew that we didn't want that. They knew that we would be upset.
I remember with that one, I mentioned that in the GitHub, and literally somebody asked me if I had malware on the website because it looked like an intrusive ad. I was like, no, this is literally this version. You could see, here's the code. I was like, that's not a good reaction. Someone's like, what the hell is this?
I think that's the kind of a problem with it is the heavy-handedness and the fact they just don't listen. There's always the talk of like, oh, we're listening. But if they listened, you don't have to be rocket scientists to think if we start sticking adverts inside a paid platform, if it was in Elementor free, fair enough. It's a free platform. You're benefiting from something. You're probably making money out of it, or you're saving money. Understandable. You kind of think it's part of the course. But when you're paying, and you think, now you've got to pay, if you want to use it professionally, what is it, $79 now as opposed to the $49 one if you want the full fat experience? You're paying $80 a year to have adverts stuck in front of you. And, most people go like well, that's just wrong. Some people go, oh, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. But it makes it really, really difficult if you hand this off to a client and there's adverts in there. Look at our add-ons. Look at this. Look at that. A simple switch to let agencies turn that off surely is a really simple thing to implement. But I don't understand why it's a case of, oh, well, we're listening to what you're saying and we'll pay lip service and we'll say, you are right, we're going to listen, we're going to do something about it. But then nothing really ever happens. Or if it does, it takes an awful long time for it to happen. And I think this, again, there's been a sort of series of things that lead into people moving away. I mean, if we go back a year ago, if I spoke to Jeffrey and I said, oh, you'll be using bricks, you'd have gone, nah, Elementor, I love Elementor. And it's like, but now, bricks has become part of your world. Whereas before, if you hadn't kind of got frustrated with certain things, I can imagine you probably wouldn't have looked elsewhere. Not to put words in your mouth. I mean, please do correct me if I'm talking at my bum.
I'm still not an Elementor hater, okay? Don't get me wrong. Everything I say, it's out of love.
Don't get the pink shirt.
I almost rock my pink shirt today, but and it's not just Elementor. Like, I find this when companies get really big, there starts to become a disconnect from the customer, the end user. We see this with Apple. Like I just saw Tim Cook. He was not. It was I think it was Tim Cook with MKHB. And he said he was really proud of the Apple mouse because it was so, what's it called? What do they call when it fits?
Ergonomic?
Yeah. He's like, we were so proud because it's so ergonomic. And MKHB was like, what? That is the most ergonomic thing in the world. Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I bought one.
I hate that mouse.
Yeah, I bought one and sent it
It's
back.
just that disconnect. Yeah, it's just that disconnect, and I really hope that Elementor could find their way back, to the professionals that use the tool for businesses. Because moves like this, they do affect an agency or a freelancer.
Yeah. Is it kind of, do you think, I don't use Canva much, but I have. Is that kind of going the same route where it's getting really bloated with different ads and sign up for this and that? And
I think with Canva, sorry, I was going to say, I use Canva a lot, but I find that because they're shoving so many features, the intuitiveness of where a lot of the editing buttons and everything, it's getting very convoluted now.
Yeah.
So before you just went there to hit edit, now you got to go there, and then they move things from left to right, and it's like, for now it feels to me like 3 clicks for what you used to do in 1 click. Yeah. Because they're now kind of like almost like a folder structure. So if they're not careful, they're going to make it more complex.
Because I was thinking about actually making some videos on it just because I could tie it in with some cool stuff. But then I was like, I don't like this interface. So it actually took me away from it. I was like, I don't want to deal with it,
I you get a lot of problems with that. It's like a good example, in my opinion, is Brizzy. When Brizzy kind of first came out, the simplicity of the interface was a really attractive element to it. But very quickly, as they started adding more and more features and tried to keep that simplicity, I found it made it more complicated to do simple things. Like, for example, you want to change the alignment of your text. Now, you'd think you just click on one of the 4 alignments, but you can't. You couldn't the last time I tried anyway. You have to click 4 times to get to justified, for example, because you can't click and hold and a drop down will pop down like you'd expect in a normal app and you choose from all the different alignment options. You literally have to click the one icon multiple times to change the alignment. And I kind of feel like for the simplicity, you're sacrificing usability. And that is kind of like what it sounds like is happening with Canva. Is they started off being a really simple interface, but now because obviously they want to put more and more features in, like buying Leonardo AI to integrate that into it, and all the different things they've got for the different widgets and things, they have to go somewhere. And that ultimately makes what started as a simpler interface more complicated. And ultimately, do you kind of start to alienate then the target market you were aiming for by the simplicity for beginners that didn't know about graphic design?
Yeah. Well, what I think is funny is if you kind of tie this back into Elementor is, inside Elementor, everywhere there's a box, there's like that, AI thing where you click here to put in custom CSS. But I literally have a tab, I'm looking at it right now, called ChatGPT. I click that, I do my custom CSS, and then I just copy and paste it in there. Not once did I ever think about using their button because I know it's just not going to work as well. And then I'm going to have that stored in my ChatGPT log. So I mean, there's a good use case. I'm like, it's right there, but I don't use the damn thing. Yeah.
But like you just said, one of the biggest problems you've got with AI built into Elementor, for example, is it's a one prompt history. So in other words, once you've typed in, you type something else in, that's gone. Whereas ChatGPT, you've got your entire conversation. So if
Saved.
you're modifying code, yeah, exactly. You're modifying code, you're trying things out. So one sort of prompt doesn't work, you try something else. All of that is there, and you can go back at any point and see what's going on. You don't have that inside Elementor.
I think that's the same with nearly every tool or anything out there that is trying to integrate AI now. Even Canva with their AI, nearly all of them, they're not built. They weren't built for that. So they're shoving it in, and you don't, like you said, it's like a one-time prompt. You lose the history, or you can't jump in and out when you want. You've got to do it at that point in time. And I just feel like a lot of tools just do what you were built to do, and leave the AI to the AI tools. That's what Claude and ChatGPT and all of them are for.
And then it's of course credit based too.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say it's credit based, so that's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Go on, Jeff.
Cheers. Got my tea, my late night tea. No, I was going to say the only AI integration I found that has been really useful has been SEO Press Pro. That AI integration is sweet. That's a time saver right there.
Yeah.
It's got to save the time.
But the nice thing with that is you've got to have ChatGPT API to connect to it. So you're already using ChatGPT and pulling it in. So instead of saying is it integrated natively into something like Elementor, it's not. You're using ChatGPT just through the API to connect up, and like you say, then you get the benefit of that. And I agree, SEO Press, their integration with AI is incredibly useful, and it's also pretty non-intrusive.
What do you think it's going to be like in 2 years from now? Because things are going really quickly.
We'd all be dead.
This is just a first start.
What?
We'd all be dead.
What, with AI or web design? Do you mean like page builders or AI?
Just like AI, the way it's integrated. Like we see the start of the integration right now, where it's it's basically putting in some text.
Well, I'm waiting for them to bring out like a robot that I could just sit on my desk over here and I can just talk to it and it will talk back. I know you can do it on your phone, but it's not the same. And I want it to talk back to me, and it will have like on its tummy a screen so I can read the code and swipe it and airdrop it to my whatever. I go, here, let me rub your tummy, and it swipes the code to my Mac or whatever. But I feel like that'll be, because there are these little desktop robots you can get, which I'm never going to get because they're only about this big. And you can talk to it, and it will connect to ChatGPT, and it will return the answer, but they are a little bit limited. But I want to have like a mirror or a robot somewhere, a little R2D2. I mean, that'll be amazing if they ever got that working, or a C3PO, something I can have sat there that I can talk to, and it's gonna chuck out the answer, and we can have a great conversation and stuff like that. I know I'm really sad.
I would just put that little device on the collar of my dog, and then me and my dog could just be like talking.
You've been watching too much up.
Yeah.
that would be awesome though, but I'd fear what my dog would say to me if I actually put something like that on him. Could be worried. God knows what he'd come out with. Yeah. But where do we think AI is going to be? I think AI today is the worst it's ever going to be. I think that's the thing we've got to kind of keep in mind. So in 2 years' time, we're either all going to be wiped out, or we're going to be subjugated as the human race when we realise we're left wanting. Or we'll realise it was a big, big fad, and it'll start to settle down and become useful in places that make sense and not be shoehorned into everything because it's currently the buzzword.
Yeah. You can almost kind of compare it to like Bitcoin. Like I was in Bitcoin in the early days. I actually made some money in the early days doing this stuff, but I thought it was going to change the world. I thought it was going to be the way we do payment processing. And now you look back at it, you're like, oh, that didn't turn out at all the way it was. So I think we're going to look back at these days and be like, were we drunk? Why were we adding AI everywhere? Like it should only be in a few places in our lives. But yeah, I think that's what we're going to do, is look back at this time and just laugh.
Yeah, more than likely. I think as human beings, we see something, it becomes, hyped, like AI has been hyped over the last year, 18 months. And I think because we're kind of getting that point now where there's not enough data out there for AI to consume to go beyond where it is now, things are going to slow down, I would say, quite considerably, because once that data has been harvested, where does it get more data from? This is why there's the big hoo-ha recently about AI tapping into the transcripts of YouTube videos from people like MKBHD and things, which is against terms and conditions in YouTube. So you kind of think, once it's kind of stop having enough information to be able to absorb, what happens then? Because we already know that the data pool, by not being up to date past, is it 2021, is already, we can only ask it certain things, things that are relevant now, we can't really get answers to because it doesn't know about it. So at some point, I think it's going to kind of get to drying up on the amount of information, or at least slowing down considerably to where it is.
That or taking over, like as far as like taking over, let's say Google, whenever you got a question, you go to Google it. But, there may be a time that comes in the near future where instead of going to Google, it's easier just to go on the phone, tap a little button, ask a question, and it gives you the answer. I've been doing that a lot more lately. So it got me thinking, I'm getting answers faster. And that's what Googling is all about, getting your answers. So
I mean, if you use like Perplexity, if you use Perplexity for me is kind of that hybrid between AI like ChatGPT and a search engine, because at least you can find out the validity of the answer you get back because it cites all its sources. So you can ask it a question, it'll come back with the answer or answers, and everywhere it's pulled information, you can click and you go review that source to validate that source. That in itself is far more useful. Plus the fact, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's been a landmark case now in America where Google is basically, they're in the poop for forcing their search engine on becoming the standard on so many different kinds of devices. Much the same as you had the antitrust with Microsoft having Internet Explorer being the default browser, and they had to take that out. Google's kind of been slapped by the same thing. It's still got to go, I think, up the chain a little bit. But I think that's going to have a massive implication and maybe pull certain parts of Google away from where we're used to it now. And we know their AI integration into their search has been woeful. So I think when you kind of compare that to something like Perplexity, you very quickly see how bad AI integration into search engines like that actually is. Wow, we've become serious.
The area where I feel like even if like AI becomes a little bit unintelligent because it's drying up with new information because it's just people regurgitating what's already in the system, the one area where I feel like it's really got its strengths, especially for me in the last couple of years, is how I can generate codes, not just code snippets, but do things a bit differently. And even if I just want a bit of CSS, and I can probably work it out over time, a bit like the Elemental Forms thing I was talking about, I told it what I wanted. I don't want to use any extra plugins. I don't want to use any extra code snippets. I just want you to use what we have. And here are my fields. And it chucked out a little bit of code for me. You prompt it here and there and you test it. And I don't think I would have been able to do what I did that quickly without AI. And I feel like that's the one thing that has been a game changer for me and lots of people. So I hear less and less about people using it for marketing and SEO. But I feel like from a website point of view, from a developer's or even when you're working with page builders, generating codes and solutions like that has been massive for me. But yeah, big game changer.
I find it refreshing because it just like gives you an answer to work with instead of like going through the forms and then people get real condescending or like, oh, you stupid idiot, this is from 12 years ago, you don't know what you're doing. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that crap anymore.
Oh god, yes. Reddit, you just go through like 40 and then you get to the end and it says this is now closed because we haven't replied. You go, no, you haven't got to the solution yet. What's the solution?
I
hope those days might be gone.
Living the dream. Okay, so let's actually take a question from Pixter. Actually, that was the wrong one.
Take a
I don't want to. Well, it would only be fair. Okay, so let's actually do some WordPress stuff. Do you think WordPress needs to change and get rid of its old habits, UI, etc.? A 20-year-old system, never been polished up, really. Oh,
You
who
know,
wants to
I've
start?
actually been thinking. I got something on that because
Go
this
ahead,
is something that's been on my mind this last week looking at Figma, their UI3. And they did a complete overhaul, and I feel like they are setting a good example of how UI should be continuously upgraded and updated because it does get clunky. Things are constantly being added, like we talked about with Canva. There has to be a time always for an overhaul. Updates need to happen, or else the user experience just goes out the window.
Which it kind of already has.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, sure.
Can I quickly jump in on that? In that WooCommerce have kind of done it. I don't like the new interface. So sometimes new changes can be good or bad. So you know how like when you do products now, you got to go through multiple tabs if you choose to go that road. So I like the fact that they've said, well, there's this new way of doing it, but you get to choose. So if you go to the advanced tab, you can either use it or not use it. And I like that. And I feel like that's what WordPress needs to do. So we're not saying we hate it. No, we love using WordPress. But the current way the dashboard and everything looks, if they were to introduce something else and then I could test it out, and if I don't like it, you stick to what you got, that would work. And eventually you'll get the feedback on the forums with, can we refine it further? Or do we just say, okay, at some point in the future, so in a year's time or whatever, this will be the default. But I feel like WooCommerce did it. That's automatic. Surely they could probably invest some time into having a different interface, but you have the option toggle to go, do you want the old style or do you want to test out the new style? It's like Elemental's theme builder. I still use the old style. So the theme builder, I still use that because I find it better. Yeah, I find it easy. I can see everything. But again, the option's there if you want to make the switch.
Yeah, it's because they use
Even
the native
mapping.
way to display data in the database or whatever. Yeah, instead of a new interface. That's why we like it, because other plugins use that look.
Yeah. I think what annoys me the most is where people sort of like jump and think like, oh, you can't radically change the admin interface and stuff like that. It's like, well, no one's saying that phase one of let's just say the dashboard has to be you chuck in a shed load of new facilities and new options. Take a look at things like UI Press. Take a look at the different ones that will just literally skin the dashboard. Take a look at the fact that they'll integrate Gutenberg and full site editing, but they can't redefine and make uniform the dashboard of WordPress, even if it's just from a visual standpoint. I kind of find that a bit silly that isn't even the case. Plus the fact, as Pixel already says, like we are dealing with a 20-year-old infrastructure of lots of, anybody that's into their code side of things will very quickly say that the code base of WordPress is terrible. It is really badly structured. There's lots of legacy content inside there. I'm not from that world, so I have no idea how valid this is, but there's been enough people that know what they're talking about have said from the architecture side of things, it is a mess. So at some point, you've got to kind of think, there's got to be some kind of refactoring. The fact that it started off as basically a blogging platform and now it's being used as probably one of the most prevalent CMSs in the entire world, it's not really fit for that purpose. Everything is kind of bolted on to it and kind of bastardizing it to make it something that it was never really intended to be. Well, if that's where the market is dictating it's going, surely at some point you've got to kind of think, we really need to do what Divi's doing, for better or for worse. At least they've gone, this is as far as we can take Divi 4. If we want to move on and become more relevant in comparison to things like bricks and so on, then you kind of have to go back to the ground level and build on a new foundation. You can't keep building new buildings on old foundations. And that's kind of where we are now.
But I don't think it's ever going to change. I mean, you can't. It's a far reach, but you can almost compare it to something like Google, where all of these different platforms, they're all made by different teams, and so they're not communicating. There's not like a UX professional in between all of them being like, "Hey, let's make sure this is a good interface for this to this." You know how it is when you go to Google. Like Google Ads is very different than your Google Analytics dashboard. It's completely different. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But I suppose on the flip side of it, they are still separate products underneath the Google banner, but they're still separate products. Whereas like full site editing, Gutenberg, and the, let's just say, legacy WordPress are all under WordPress. So, you know, if they want to sort of compete with the likes of Wix and Squarespace and stuff like that, and Figma and any of those kind of platforms, as Jeffrey's already said, they've gone back and said, okay, we've added lots of new features in now. It makes sense for us to go back and reorganize things in a better way to make it a more usable platform. And I know they get paid, you know, well, you can say they get paid. At the end of the day, there's probably more people use the free version of Figma than use the paid plan for Figma. So you kind of think, well, at some point, where is the sort of the hierarchy? Where are the sort of like the leaders of the WordPress project saying, look, this is the feedback we're getting. We've got different departments doing different things, and there's no cohesion between all of them. We need to bring things together. I don't think there ever will be.
I think it's like, I don't think it will ever happen. You know, that's a possibility. You know, you got to think like that, I guess.
It's disheartening because like you say, you want it to be the best it can be, and right now you kind of feel like it's just a lot of sticky plasters or band-aids for your American sort of like audience that are just holding these pieces together and hoping that, you know, and those band-aids are your plugins, they're your page builders, they're your different tools that you've got there, your legacy themes and all those kind of things. They're the things that hold it all together. And I wonder, like I did a video the other week, or talked about it the other week, would WordPress be where it is now if it wasn't for those band-aids, those sticky plasters holding all those sort of shaky components together? Would it still be powering 40+% of the internet?
That's an interesting interesting one, actually, because I had an answer. It's gone out my head now.
It's happened to me 5 times tonight already.
What's in that tea?
No, I mean,
it's a mushroom tea. The great thing, I hope it's the right mushrooms.
No. Sounds like it is the right mushrooms.
The great thing is that it works. I mean, even though we would like to see like cleaner dashboard or be able to rearrange things or switch things off and on, regardless of that, it does work. You know, it is a great CMS. You know, it is a great foundation for us to add on our page builders or whatever plugins we want to use. So I hope they take heart from the fact that we love using it. We just feel like it's a great time now, I think, you know, with like what Jeff said about Figma and AI and all of this, to now just spruce it up a little bit, you know. Just give it a bit of a polish or something, and just give us an option. You know, we're not saying change the world. You know, if you want to use the new interface, you go and use it. You know, but then don't complain or whinge later. Just reading what Mark Harris has said. Yeah.
It's you know, it's just changed also the way that I built the websites as well, because I want to keep everything clean. Because of the ads and all those pop-ups. It's like, you know, it's going back to the ads. It's not just Elements, where this is something that's been going on for a long time, but it's usually in the back end. And, you know, it's just changed how I build sites. Now my focus has always been on minimal plugins. I stick with the set, you know, stack that I use. I don't like to add new plugins that I don't use because of that. I don't want those pop-up notices or any clutter inside the back end. If there was a way though to clean it up, it's not just WordPress, you know, but it's also plugins as well, you know, and just the whole system, the whole ecosystem. Like you said, Imran, it works, you know, it works. I go through it in a breeze on a daily basis. I love it, you know, and it took a while to get there though, to get my stack right.
I think the thing is that what we sort of probably need to take away from the people that are actually in this conversation today is that most of us don't actually use WordPress. We use tools on top of WordPress, and WordPress is just the foundation that we don't really go into. You know, when you run your Blueprint app, for example, all of your settings and your plugins and everything are in there. So once you've set that up and you've probably tweaked a few things, you'll then spend most of your time inside your builder and dealing with the templates and things like that. Most of us probably don't spend a huge amount of time actually in WordPress, as it were, as the tool itself. I mean, I don't. I mean, most of the time I'm either inside bricks or, inside tools like that, setting those kind of things up. So you very rarely touch WordPress as it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's because we don't touch themes anymore, so we don't have to really like do custom coding really for that type of stuff. Because I mean, the thing I always hate about doing themes, I don't want to reinvent the wheel every time I build a website. I don't want to have to do a whole layout shift and all that. I don't want to deal with that. Like that's why page builders. That's why they came onto the market. Yeah,
and why they're so prevalent.
Thing about WordPress, that's what makes WordPress so awesome, though. Is that we have that ecosystem. I saw somebody ask a question earlier, asking if they think another CMS will take over, and I cannot see that happening. Not
I
anytime.
can't.
No, there's no way. I mean, the ecosystem is it's so dialed in right now with what we got. I don't see anything coming close at all.
It's very much like WooCommerce. I think there's no viable alternative that's mass market appeal and has the price point of something like WordPress to be able to take over, And like you say, it's not much the same as lots of other things. It's not just WordPress. And this, again, goes back to the sort of the topic that I had the other day. WordPress kind of enabled the third-party marketplace, But now, I would say the third-party marketplace is what sustains WordPress. And I think in a lot of respects, it's very much the same with Elementor. You think about it, people go like, I couldn't move to bricks, or I couldn't move to breakdance because it doesn't do everything I want. And I kind of stop and I think, what doesn't it do? Because most of those, if not all of those, can do pretty much everything, if not everything you can do inside Elementor and Elementor Pro, and more, because you're not reliant upon those third-party tools. So I kind of feel like when you sort of question that sort of mindset, most people come back and go, oh, but I've got a plugin that does this, and I use like Dynamic OO and stuff like that. It's like, but that's not Elementor. That's tools built on top of it. So they're supplementing those areas that it can't do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, which it's the chicken and egg, I suppose, isn't it? Which kind of came first, which is the most important. Without the platform, there wouldn't be the third party. Without the third party, the platform wouldn't be as popular because it doesn't do all the things. And that's why there's such a prevalent third party market. That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, and it creates a lot of jobs. It creates a lot of plugins. And it's very interesting, Paul, because I was just thinking about that when you're mentioning, the third party. With Elementor, I remember when I started, it was all the add-ons that made it so powerful because we didn't have all the features that it has right now. We had just an add-on for everything. So you could go to an add-on website. You could take a look at all their different widgets and like, hey, I could put this on the site, could put this one there, and basically build a site out from that. But then through the years, Elementor started adding so many features that the add-ons really aren't necessary. You can get away with building a really complex site, especially if you're comfortable with a little bit of code. But WordPress is different. They didn't do that. Not yet.
No.
I'm trolling off, guys. Can you tell? Yeah, my tea is running out.
You need more mushrooms.
You guys don't know I'm out in Thailand right now. Yeah, it's a bit late over here.
Super late.
What time is it over there now? 8 o'clock
Just
at night?
9 o'clock. No,
9.
It's 9 o'clock, but usually I'm winding down, getting ready for bed around this time.
It's an age thing, obviously.
Most definitely. Well, that and food poisoning, still.
That damn
still
pizza.
That bad pizza.
That damn pizza,
man.
See, like
Never
I said, you
trust
should
pizza
not.
with seafood in Thousand Island.
Oh God, I could think of nothing. I could think of something worse. A fruit pizza. It's just wrong. And this is pineapple. This is pineapple.
Vile.
This is pineapple.
I can't do pineapple. Can't do pineapple on pizza. No, I can't.
God, you weirdos.
Okay,
well,
it's not right.
to save Jeffrey from having to take any more dodgy mushrooms or eat any more dodgy pizzas, I think we'll wrap things up here. We want to try to keep it to that 1 hour slot. So for everybody that's in here now, which is over 100, give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed what we talked about today in the first of our live streams. We're going to be doing this every month. There's going to be topics in some of the other ones where we'll actually pre-plan But I think that the sort of free flow today has been quite interesting. Like we said, the whole point is like a bunch of mates sat around in the pub talking about stuff that they enjoy, frustrates them, annoys them, those kinds of things. But I'm going to pass it around one more time for anybody that sort of wasn't sure at the beginning. Start with Imran. Who are you, and how can people find out more about you, if anybody in you doesn't know who you are?
Imran Web Squadron, do a search. You'll find my entire life history, everything I've done and not done. You'll find me. I love you all.
And
I'm really dying for a wee break. I need to go to the toilet, but I'm just going to hang on for a bit. Go on.
You've got a Pepsi Max bottle under there. You can sort that out, no problem at all.
It's gone through me. It's gone through me.
Fill it back up, son. Fill it back up. Mark, I'm going to pass it over to you.
What's up? So Wiki Design, it's spelled WICKY design.com. I also create, different videos on YouTube, so you could search there. I want to get more subscribers, so let's try to get some more subscribers. That's what I'm going for this year. Yeah.
Good man. Jeffrey.
Nice. What's up? You could Google me, ChatGPT me. You could
Perplexity me.
What are the other ones? Perplexity me. Get a little perplexed. All right. I'm an obsessed web designer. You can find me at lightboxacademy.com or my channel. Just Google Lightbox. That's all you got to do. LYTBOX. You can chat GPT it too. I came up in there. So did you, Imran. So did you, Wiki. And so did you, Paul. I was really interested. I chat GPT'd, asked some questions, and all of our channels came up on there. I thought that was dope.
I'm not even going to ask what it said about any of those channels, but we'll go with being known. That'll do. Right, before we do, just so Operation Baboon doesn't get annoyed, what do we think of? That's good. What do we think of the sort of the GPL licensed clubs? I think they suck and they take money away from talented developers who are doing a great job. So I think that's my opinion. I'm going to pass it over to you guys.
People stealing plugins, basically.
Yeah, that's the one.
People stealing stuff. Yeah. The people that just steal from the people working hard. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Like people that steal courses that are created by course creators.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Still YouTube channels. Still websites. I don't get it, but yeah.
I actually enjoy doing DMCA takedowns, so I like doing those.
All I'll say about them is that if someone gets one because they want to test it out to check does it actually do what they want it to do, that's fine. But then I expect them to go and get the full version, get the current version. Don't get one that's 2 or 3 versions out of date and then scream and shout when you get hit by a vulnerability. I see that a lot. They go, oh, my website's gone down or there's a problem, and you then find out they've got a GPL version of WooCommerce subscriptions, for instance. It's like 10 versions old or whatever. And I kind of go, well, what'd you expect?
Yeah, I think you get what you pay for, I think, is the kind of the underlying message here, is that if you want to go like that, you might get more than you expect when you actually install that plugin or theme. A little bit of a surprise bonus, especially the ones that have the little back door that let all their friends in to come and say,
oh, yeah.
There's your license key for all the legitimate software you bought. I'll have some of that and I'll resell that as GPL.
Yeah, you're getting the bad karma. So when you buy a plugin for $2, you're buying bad karma for $2. And I hope
absolutely.
You get hacked.
Yeah. And on that happy and positive note, thanks everybody for joining in today. We'll be doing this again in a month's time, and it'll either be on Imran's channel, Jeffrey's channel, or Mark's channel. We're going to rotate this around, but you'll be notified in advance, a little bit better than I've done this time, to let everyone know. But you will know about it in advance. And we will be having a mailing list and things set up so you can be kept up to date, and there'll be a lot more going on with this live stream and this kind of format as we kind of grow and develop over the coming months. But I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen today. If you've got any questions or anything and you catch this on the replay, drop those in the comment section down below. We'll take a look and we'll answer as many as possible. But I'm going to say thank you to everybody for taking the time out of your day, especially for Jeffrey today, who's feeling a little bit under the weather after having a dodgy pizza, apparently. But thanks, guys, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Cool. Cheers. See you all soon.
Guys. Thank
Bye.
you. Good to see you all.
Bye, guys.